Hello there. If I seem like I'm kind of fumbling with what's where, it's because I am. This is a sippin'. I am really thinking about doing one video to prove that I can speak proper English, but this isn't it. This ain't it. Oh boy. Anyway, this is a sippin' and talking video, but it is not the standard sippin' and talking video. In a couple of videos I've made, one I know I've uploaded, I called it the Busted Blind. Y'all may have seen it. And then another one, it was the first glass from my bottle of Buffalo Trace. In both of those I mentioned a blind that I wanted to do, the blind being the reason I got the Buffalo Trace in the first place. It goes back, well, it doesn't, I'm coming up blank as to how far back it goes. But when I was still new to whiskey, I'd heard all about Buffalo Trace. I'd heard how great it was. I didn't know anything but what I heard at that point. And so I hunted for it, and at that time you couldn't find it in Albuquerque, not at all. I think I went a year looking for Buffalo Trace before I ever saw it on the shelf. But in the meantime, an employee at Total Wine Uptown here in Albuquerque said, you know, we have a good alternative to Buffalo Trace, Bluff Springs. And I tried it, and I liked it. And when I finally got Buffalo Trace, I decided I liked the Bluff Springs better. But I never blinded them. I never compared them side by side, even unblind. And it occurred to me to give the two a blind, side by side, so that I could see which one I really do actually prefer. And I realized that I didn't do something in preparation that I need to do, so I'm going to pause the video. You won't notice but a blip, so I won't even tell you to please stand by. I'm back. You saw a blip. That took me about a minute or so. And I squinched the chair around a little. I forgot to mark the glasses. Well, you can't hardly see it. That's glass 1. This is glass 2. And I numbered them that way because I have Boston Bottle 1 and Boston Bottle 2. I don't know how well that come through. I don't know which is which. I know that one is Buffalo Trace. I know the other is Bluff Springs. I don't know which is which. And so, something else I need to do, I brought my pad over and I forgot to write the preliminaries. I need to... Did you see where it said thoroughly amateur when I was starting? Yeah, thoroughly amateur. I want to make notes as to which I think is which. This is glass 1, therefore this is glass 2, trust but verify. This is Boston Bottle 1. It goes in glass 1. This is Boston bottle 2. It goes in glass 2. Uneven amounts, but that's okay. I don't need a lot to do what I'm going to do. I don't need it to be exactly even for it to work. So, I know it's off-center, life goes on. As Jamie Heineman would say on Mythbusters, so sue me, or what are you going to do? Not getting a whole lot on the nose here. Not getting a whole lot on the nose on either one. These 2 Boston bottles have been in my desk for one of them several weeks, the other a couple of 3 weeks. And I just, before I set up here, I just brought them out. They might be a little under room temperature because they were in the desk in the shade. But I'm not getting much on either one on the nose, which surprises me. This is kind of surprising me. So far, this is slightly nutty, this is slightly fruity. Problem: both are characteristic to me of Bluff Springs. I don't have a clue at this point. And the nuttiness that I find to be typical of Bluff Springs is a peanut shell note, which leads me, and others have agreed that this is probably the case, that peanut shell note on the nose leads me to believe that the juice comes from the Heaven Hill distillery, that being a characteristic to me of Heaven Hill juice. But to get the 2 things I find most characteristic, nuttiness and fruitiness, in separate glasses is freaking me out. If anything, that's a little sharper, I think. And that is definitely more fruity. So based on the nose, I'm going to tentatively guess that 1 is Buffalo Trace and 2 is Bluff Springs. Now the 2 whiskeys are the same proof. They're both 90 proof, both Kentucky bourbon. One, as I said, I believe comes from the Heaven Hill distillery, and the other, of course, from the Buffalo Trace distillery. Let me see what this tastes like. On the palate, that was a burst of cinnamon, followed by spices. There came a little bit of a nuttiness. Then the cinnamon came back, and now it's kind of just fading away as an alcohol sting on my palate. That makes me think that glass 1 is Buffalo Trace. We'll see what glass 2 tastes like. And just to be on the safe side, I've heard two versions of the Kinks song Lola. One is they drink champagne and it tastes just like Coca-Cola. The other is they drink champagne and it tastes just like cherry cola. I presume they started with Coca-Cola and then switched to cherry to avoid copyright problems, but I don't know. I've never cared to look it up. Glass 2 is markedly sweeter, definitely fruity. There is some spice in there, a little bit of cinnamon, maybe some other things, but it's sweeter and fruitier. Based on that, I am prepared to confirm my thoughts that glass 1 is Buffalo Trace and glass 2 is Bluff Springs. I am now going to, I started to say I'm going to put y'all on hold. I'm now going to pause the video again. I'll go to my laptop, pull up the document, see if I'm right. I'll be back. In all the years I've had this channel, I have gotten one blind right, and this ain't it. It's really freaking me out. Glass 1 I thought was Buffalo Trace. Sharper, spicier. I thought glass 2 was Bluff Springs, sweeter and fruitier. Glass 1 was Bluff Springs. Glass 2 was Buffalo Trace. That's interesting. Now, you'll remember I had trouble getting anything on the nose. Let me see now whether I can get anything, knowing what I have in hand. Bluff Springs here. It's still sharp. Okay, now that is different, whether it's because I know what it is, this is Buffalo Trace, or whether it's just, it's opening up now, it's out of the Boston bottles, I don't know. But this is now coming across as more complex with what I can only characterize as a warm note, and that irritates me because I hate vagueness. When I'm getting cinnamon and vanilla and such things on the nose now that I wasn't getting before, whereas this is remaining the same. So it's not my nose. I don't know what it is. But I got this blind totally wrong. And maybe what I'll do, I don't know. Maybe what I'll do is the next time I set up the rotation, I'll jigger it and make sure Buffalo Trace and Bluff Springs come up on the same night. Pour a little of both straight from the bottle and see what I think. It's an idea. Whether I'll do it, I don't know. But this blind has totally befuddled me. How did the title of the old song go? Bewitched, bewildered, and befuddled, something like that. Why I got these results, I don't know. I expected to find one definitely preferable to the other. I have not gotten that, which is why I didn't even mention that, because none was coming up, neither was coming up preferable. I thought, based on my experience drinking glasses of both in these past few weeks, that Buffalo Springs was markedly different from Bluff Springs, or Buffalo Trace was markedly different from Bluff Springs in ways that I could detect. I was wrong. I'm married, of course I'm wrong. I'm used to it. I'm used to being wrong. That's not evolving much, if at all. That seems to have reached a plateau. And if this wasn't 90 proof, you wouldn't see me putting my nose that far in. Based on what I'm smelling, I would still think that is Bluff Springs. And that's Buffalo Trace. Let me try another sip each. I stand by what I originally thought as far as what I thought. Based on the nose and the palate, I would still say this is Buffalo Trace and this is Bluff Springs. In actual fact, this is actually Bluff Springs and this is actually Buffalo Trace. I don't do a lot of blinds, but one reason I do is exactly this, so that I'm coming to what I might know what is in the 2 or 3 or 4 glasses, but I don't know which is which, and so my expectations of what it should be don't exist. I know it's bourbon. I expect it to be bourbon, yes. But I didn't expect this to be either Buffalo Trace or Bluff Springs. I didn't expect this to be either Bluff Springs or Buffalo Trace. I knew one was one and the other was the other. But that's all I knew. And I came up wrong. Now, based on these 2 glasses, I don't have a preference. Based on other factors, availability primarily, I'd still prefer Bluff Springs. But it may be that instead of just avoiding Buffalo Trace when I see it, I'll pick up a bottle now and then based on the results here. Because if I don't find a preference between the 2, then my idea that Bluff Springs is definitely better is wrong. But I could speculate and analyze all day, but I'm not going to do it. I just hit 19 minutes. I want to cut the video off. When I'll upload it, beats the living daylights out of me. I already set the 2 aside. I don't have a preference, so I'll toast you in Coke. Cheers.